What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to review the Whoop-de-Whoop. Whoop. It has some paint on it because I painted in it and it got splattered on, but doesn't affect the quality. So I wanted to just chat about pros and cons of the Whoop since I've switched to the Whoop from the Apple Watch. First off, this is not a sponsored video. I pay for the Whoop on my own. I'm not that cool and also probably not cool enough to be sponsored. But if you're out there, Whoop, I wouldn't mind it. So the reason I did switch from the Apple Watch to the Whoop, I had been using the Apple Watch since June of 2019. So it lasted me quite some time, about three and a half years. Yeah, Apple Watch did last me pretty long, longer than any iPhone I've ever had. Honestly, I didn't love the Apple Watch. I just felt like I had to have it. I initially had it to just control the music and the volume while I was coaching at Orange Theory. And then I just kept it. But I'm so glad I made the switch. So my Apple Watch initially broke when I was on vacation. I was kayaking and I forgot to turn the water lock on. So it got water in it and it just wouldn't hold a charge. It just pretty much pooped out on me. So in November of 2022, I made the switch to the Whoop. The nice thing with the Whoop is that you had a 30-day trial. So I was like, perfect, I'll give it 30 days before I actually pay for it to see if I even like it. Turns out I love it. And I wanted to give myself time. The reason I'm just now making this video, I wanted to give myself time to actually get used to the Whoop before reviewing it. I feel like oftentimes people do reviews and they're so excited to do it and then it's not really an honest review. So I've been using the Whoop for 4 months now. So I feel like I have a pretty good idea of what it's like. Putting it together was actually really hard. I will say that was like one con. Like putting it together and actually figuring out what was going on was a struggle. But you essentially just pop it open and then the computer device is here. So just like the Apple Watch, you have like the little thing. And then it just nicely slips back on. I don't want to have to do it again. So this comes off of here. I had to actually learn how to do this a few times because I bought a separate band. So this looped into this guy. This slips onto this. And then it turns. And then, if I put this on, you hook that in, then you can slip it on and click it in. I don't know if that was helpful, but when I was trying to put it together, it was kind of hard. So that is one thing. I took the time to write down my pro-con list on this receipt. I'm actually going to start off with the cons. My cons list is a lot shorter than the pros. And as I probably talk about the pros, I may come up with some more cons that I think of off the bat, but I'll go off my handy dandy little receipt here. So first and foremost, the cons for the Whoop. One of the cons is actually a pro and a con for separate reasons. That is that there isn't a screen. So as you can see, it's just the device. I can't see my heart rate. I can't see anything. It actually connects to the app. So this is my Whoop app. So it has everything I need here, which I'll go over as I go through this as well. So no screen. And the reason this is a con is because if you're somebody who needs to train with heart rate, you can't see your heart rate, but it does show up on the app. So if you have the app, it does help. So you can't see your heart rate from here. It doesn't tell time if you are looking for an actual watch. So those were the few things like with no screen getting used to. It was kind of difficult. Another thing with there being no screen is the convenience factor of it. So like if you want to start a workout, you can't just look down and tap it to start. So you go into the app and then you press start activity and it has a ton of different activities here for you. If you tap the top, it kind of saves them automatically. So these are the ones that I typically do. But it has a ton of different activities, as you can see. Those are the few, like the convenience of it. You can't start a workout right away, that kind of thing, no screen. The last con that I could ultimately think of was it doesn't track steps, But honestly, that's not a huge deal to me. I've kind of learned, you know, what 10,000 steps feels like to me. I just try to stay active throughout the day, and I'm more intentional about it. And because I don't see my specific steps, I feel like I'm actually getting intentional movement in versus feeling like I have to move, if that makes sense. So I feel like the no steps thing has been kind of a pro and con. I don't know how many steps I get per day, but I kind of know here of like, yeah, I'm pretty positive that that's the amount of steps I'm getting. So if you are like a step hound, this could be a good and a bad thing for you. So really I only had 3 cons, honestly, that I could think of right off the bat. But my pros list is super long, and that's why I've stuck with the Whoop. First and foremost is the cost. And that, I guess, is for different people. So on average, I guess looking at like an Apple Watch, I don't even know how much they go for anymore. So the Series 8 Apple Watch, it looks like, is $349 to $430, about $400, but you pay that up front, to my understanding, or you can, I guess you can pay Apple for it. But then if you want to use like I use data for it, so I had to pay for the actual like usage of it. Technically, I think it was like $10 a month. The Whoop for me is $35 a month. The first month was free, and you don't pay for this. Anytime there's a new software or a new like system, like a new computer, they actually send it to you. It's included. So I pay $35 a month, which is $420 a year. So it probably is more expensive than an Apple Watch, but it sends you new equipment whenever it comes out, which is cool. So I guess cost, now that I break it down, isn't really that much different, but it is nice. It's just a monthly subscription, and like the Oura Ring, you have to pay for a monthly subscription to even like utilize the Oura Ring, and it's inexpensive. The Oura Ring's like $350 to $400. So I guess they're all similar in cost. On to the next thing, the charge. This is the charger. Notifies you when it's done charging. So you charge this guy, and then what you do is you slip this onto it. So you can see like my Whoop is charged right now. So that's convenient. It just literally charges on your wrist. So you can leave this on all the time if you want to. You can also shower with it, but I take a break from it when I shower. The app does tell you how much is charged, but if you double tap it hard, it'll light up green when it's fully charged or when it has enough charge. And then it'll go like yellow when you need to think about charging it, red when it's like, hey, charge me now. So the charge is great. It lasts longer. Apple Watch was so annoying. You had to put it on the charger every single night. So my sleep wasn't tracked, which was, you know, Apple Watch technically tracks sleep, but it doesn't hold the charge long enough to do so, which was irritating. And now that leads me into my second or third pro of the Whoop is, since I started using the Whoop, my sleep has drastically improved, and I feel like I'm prioritizing sleep better. And that's because it tracks sleep so well. So each night I open my app. I try to actually keep the app open as much as possible, so it tracks sleep as it goes. So as you can see, these are the activities I've done today: walking, weightlifting, and sleep. So if I click on sleep, it actually goes through like how many hours I spent awake, how much time I spent awake, how much time I spent in light sleep, in deep sleep, and in REM sleep. And then it'll show you the times that it happened. It shows how much sleep I got total, how much restorative sleep I got as well. And then it says like 21% of your time in bed was spent in deep sleep. This is optimal for healthy adults. And then it'll base my recovery off of that. So last night my REM sleep was lower than normal, so my recovery wasn't as great. And then it also will give you like health monitor for overnight of like, it goes over your respiratory rate, your blood oxygen level, your resting heart rate, your heart rate volume, and then your skin temperature from baseline. And so it'll alert you when something is off while you sleep, especially like if you drink the night before, it'll tell you like why your sleep is so affected, and it goes into that as well, which is really cool. So lots of feedback with that. And along with the sleep, I kind of mentioned too, like recovery. So it'll tell me like how much recovery I'm at. And it's good to listen to. Like you can do like a strain coach, and it'll tell you like today's a good day to train and not train. And it'll go through like your recovery process. Like it shows like how my recovery has been the past few days. Like this day I had drank alcohol the night before, so it obviously was a little off. And so that's a cool part too. It really dives into it. And then it'll also give like monthly trends as well, so you can see what that looks like. As I mentioned, the no screen was a pro and a con. I told you the cons. I will say the pros. I am more present now, I feel like. On the Apple Watch, you would get notifications. I'd always be checking the time. I'd constantly be like looking at my watch, like, where am I at on steps? Where am I at on my stand goal? And like, those things are important and I feel like they keep you active, but I'm more intentional with my movement with the Whoop because it gives you feedback in a different way, essentially. And so it's nice to actually be intentional with my movement versus feeling like I have to stand because I didn't stand for that hour. I feel like I was living my life like, oh, I'm doing the dishes and I didn't, and it didn't register that I stood. So then I'd be standing there going like this and moving my arms, and it's like so silly. I was standing. Just because my watch didn't say it doesn't mean I wasn't. So it's nice because I'm more present. I'm not constantly opening the Whoop app to see how I'm doing versus the Apple Watch. I was constantly looking at it. Another thing is the feedback. So it kind of tells you when to push and maybe when not to. It'll tell you like when you're doing cardio or when you're doing weightlifting, like you've reached the goal strain for this activity. It really helps in terms of feedback of whether or not you're actually pushing yourself as you should. I think that's like one of the easiest things is like you don't know how hard to push, and the Whoop essentially like coaches you. I'm a coach myself, but I still need somebody to tell me, like I still need that feedback to know when I'm pushing enough and when I can push more. And that's super helpful feedback too that it gives you. So it'll have like a little, I guess I could start a fake workout. So if I start an activity here, let's start walking. Counts down. So see how it like has this little strain circle here? So right now my optimal strain is pretty low. Like I'll get a good workout in just barely, and like see you'll close the circle. So it just shows you kind of like where your optimal strain is, where your goal strain is. When you have the app open, it does tell you your average heart rate, your max heart rate for the activity, calories burned, current heart rate, and then if you're walking outdoors, it does have a GPS. If you're walking on a treadmill, it doesn't. So that is one thing, like it doesn't have specific indoor and outdoor walking. And then if you want to just open it up to heart rate to make sure you're in a zone, if you're on a treadmill, can easily look at this. That's helpful too. But like if you're running outside, the Whoop isn't necessarily friendly to that. I've done one outdoor run with it. And I was doing it like for distance. I was having to like reopen my phone. And then you'll see like here what strain I hit on all my activities. So like for walking, I hit 8.1 strain. For weightlifting, 7.4 strain. This is the last pro, I believe, that I wrote down. This little button here, you can add a workout if you forgot to track it. So I was actually just talking to a friend about how I forget to log workouts sometimes, and she had the Apple Watch. She's like, dang it, I forgot to start my workout. And I was like, that's the great thing about a Whoop. So like if I remember when I started it, and you can guesstimate too, you can put in the time you started it, and then you can put the time you ended it, and then you just put where you were wearing the watch at, and then you can choose from all the different activities. So you can add it in later. Another thing you can do too is you can edit. So like if say I forgot to end the workout, you can go to these three dots up at the top, and you can edit the workout. So I can change like the time that I started it. A few other quick things. If you click the walk, so this is my walk from earlier, there's just a 15-minute incline walk. It'll tell you how long you spent in each heart rate zone. So like for this one, I spent 3 minutes in restorative zone. I spent 6 minutes in zone 1. Those two were probably like stretching and cool down. 4 minutes in zone 2, 3 minutes in zone 3, and 8 minutes in zone 4. So I know like half of my cardio was spent in the optimal zone essentially. Last thing, every morning when it picks up on your sleep and it like calculates out your sleep and all that, it goes through and you can adjust what questions are on here, but it goes through like a little journal. So you can keep track of what kinds of things are going on in your life each day. Mine, I have, did you have any alcoholic drinks? Have any caffeine? And then it goes even as far as like how many servings, when was your last serving? So that is helpful because if you're having a tough time sleeping and then you're like, oh, I had caffeine at 3 p.m. and I normally don't do that, then it's obviously like, oh, that may be why. Hydrate sufficiently, spend time on work calls, feel energized, feel in control of your life, spend time outdoors. Do you feel recovered today? Did you spend time stretching? Did you have a cat in your room while sleeping, a dog in your room while sleeping, hot flash while sleeping? Were you injured? Are you menstruating? Were you sick? Take creatine. Did you take your fish oil, multivitamin, probiotic? Nice little like mental review from my day before. As a whole, obviously the pros have far outweighed the cons. I could not recommend the Whoop more to people who are looking to take their fitness to the next level. If you have a hard time sleeping, having the sleep feedback. I know this is very similar to the Oura Ring. I'm not like a ring person besides my wedding ring, so I don't have an Oura Ring. Thought it was super cool, but honestly the Whoop was more cost efficient and I liked the features just as much. So, I mean, an Oura Ring does track steps if that's something you're really hung up on, but ultimately like I got over that fact. Like I was kind of upset at first and then I was like, you know what, screw it. And I actually like it a lot. Not a whole lot of bad things I have to say about the Whoop. I am very impressed by it. I love it. So if you are questioning, you know, moving on from the Apple Watch, I cannot recommend it enough. I feel like my recovery is so much better. I've noticed even changes in my physique, weirdly enough, since having the Whoop. And I don't know if that's because I'm prioritizing sleep and recovery more. But yeah, highly recommend. So I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions on the Whoop, anything that you're curious about, please feel free to comment below. I would love to help you out. So thank you again for watching. Make sure to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if it was helpful. I'll see you in the next one.